Hello and mabuhay! I am Miss Ron and welcome to Gen Ed 9, the life and works of Dr. Jose Rizal. Before we proceed to our topic for today, I would like to show you some persons who might be a bit familiar to each and everyone. Here are the persons that I am talking about. Are they familiar to you? Makaraig, si Maria Clara, si Simon, si Padre Camora. How about si Bensaib, si Placido Penitente, si Isagani, at si Huli? Are they familiar to you? How about Don Custodio, si Basilio, si Juanito Pelaez, si Paulita Gomez? Naaalala niyo ba kung sino-sino sila? How about Crisostomo Ibarra, si Maria Clara, si Kapitan Tiago, si Sisa, si Piloso Putasio, si Padre Damaso? Are they familiar to you? Of course, those names sound so familiar to all of us. The persons on the previous slides are indeed the well-known characters from Dr. Jose Rizal's famous novels Noli Me Tangere and El Filibusterismo. It seems that everyone is familiar with the characters because these novels are part of the required readings in secondary or junior high school curriculum. I bet you are now reminiscing the time when your teacher asked your class to conduct a role-playing for the selected chapters of these novels. I can still remember the time that I used to play the sweet and innocent role of Maria Clara in Noli Me Tangere and portray the privileged and spoiled character of Paulita Gomez in El Filibusterismo. But have you ever wondered why of all the literary pieces in the Philippines and despite of the various changes in basic education curriculum, only these two esteemed novels of Dr. Jose Rizal are still incorporated in Filipino subject offerings? And to answer that question, here is our topic for today, the introduction to the life and works of Jose Rizal. Under this topic, we are going to discuss the following. First, what are the common misconceptions why we are studying the life and works of Rizal? Second, I'm going to introduce you the Republic Act 1425, or also known as the Rizal Law. And third, what are the reasons why we really need to study Rizal? In the Philippines, for instance, urban legends and misconceptions surround our heroes. Rizal, in particular, is even more prone to these false beliefs not only because he is one of the famous heroes but also because of the volume of the written works he has put out, making them vulnerable to the different kinds of interpretation. Unfortunately, misconceptions are highlighted rather than the real contributions of Rizal in terms of ideology, patriotism, and actual nation building. So, I asked some students, and here are the 5 common misconceptions why they think we study the life and works of Jose Rizal. First misconception is only to know the story behind his real name. Marahil nagtataka kayo kasi laging pinapakabisado sa atin ang napakahabang pangalan ni Dr. Jose Rizal. At saan nga ba nanggaling ang apelidong Rizal kung ang apelido ng kanyang ama ay Mercado at ang apelido naman ng kanyang ina ay Alonzo? Second misconception is to be familiar with Rizal's love interest. Mukhang chismis to kasi may bali-balita na chick boy daw itong si Dr. Jose Rizal. Yun nga ba ang dahilan kung bakit natin pinag-aaralan ang the life and works of Dr. Jose Rizal? Third misconception is to answer the question about his gender identity. Mukhang isa na naman din itong chismis. Marami kasi ang mga manunulat na tinatawag si Dr. Jose Rizal na isang metrosexual sa kanilang mga akda. So, aalamin natin yan sa kabuuan ng ating semestre ng pag-aaral tungkol sa buhay ni Dr. Jose Rizal. Kung talaga nga bang siya ay isang metrosexual. Fourth misconception is to perceive if he is an apologist to the Spaniards. Marami kasi mga babasahin na nagsasabi na kaya hindi lumahok sa revolusyon si Dr. Jose Rizal ay dahil sa kadahilanang siya ay isang ilustrado at bahagyang pumapanig sa kampo ng mga Kastila o Espanyol. Last misconception is to see if he deserves to be our national hero. Walang katapusan ang debate sa usapin ng pagkilala sa isang pambansang bayani. Maraming nagsasabi na dapat ay si Andres Bonifacio na lang ang tanghalin bilang pambansang bayani dahil sa kanyang naging papel sa pagkamit natin ng ating kalayaan at kasarinlan. Ang iba naman ay pinaglalaban na dapat ay si Lapu-Lapu dahil siya ang nagsilbing first defense nang magsimulang tangkain ng mga Kastila na sakupin ang ating bayan. Pero ngayon pa lang, spoil ko na kayo. Hindi natin pambansang bayani si Jose Rizal. Wala tayong opisyal na pambansang bayani. Gulat kayo, no? Hala, paano nangyari yun, Miss Ron? Well, hindi ba dapat maging mas interesado kayo na pag-aralan ang asignaturang ito? Matutunghayan natin sa pag-aaral ng Gen Ed 9 ang sagot sa katanungang ngayon ay bumabagabag niya sa inyong mga isipan. Pero bago natin sagutin ang tanong na yon, pag-usapan muna natin kung ano ang Republic Act 1425 o yung tinatawag na Rizal Law. What is the Rizal Law? The Rizal Law, also known as the RA 1425, is an act to include in the curricula of all public and private schools, colleges, and universities the courses on the life, works, and writings of Jose Rizal, particularly his novels Noli Me Tangere and El Filibusterismo. Also authorizing the printing and distribution thereof and for other purposes. Basically, meron pala tayong batas sa Pilipinas na nagre-require sa mga paaralan at universidad na pag-aralan ang buhay, akda, at iba pang mga babasahin na isinulat ni Dr. Jose Rizal. It is Senator Claro M. Recto who authored the Rizal Bill, while Senator Jose P. Laurel Sr., who was then the chairman of the Committee on Education, sponsored the bill in the Senate. Ang batas na ito ang kinalabasan ng pinagsamang House Bill No. 5561 at Senate Bill No. 428. The Republic Act 1425 was signed into law by President Ramon P. Magsaysay last June 12, 1956. Hindi ko natatalakayin pa ang buong nilalaman ng the Rizal Law. I will just put a link on the Google Classroom where you can access the actual transcript of the said Republic Act for your reference. Ngunit nais kong bigyang diin ang mahahalagang punto na nilalaban ng batas. Under Section 1, courses on the life, works, and writings of Jose Rizal, particularly his novel Noli Me Tangere and El Filibusterismo, shall be included in the curricula of all schools, colleges, and universities, public man or private. Bali, isa sa mga nais iparating ng batas na ito ay dapat talagang pag-aralan ang buhay, mga akda at mga babasahin na isinulat ni Dr. Jose Rizal sa ating mga paaralan, partikular na sa kanyang dalawang nobela na Noli Me Tangere at El Filibusterismo. Under Section 2, it shall be obligatory on all schools, colleges, and universities to keep in their libraries an adequate number of copies of Noli Me Tangere and El Filibusterismo, as well as of Rizal's other works and biography. Ayan, nakasaad sa batas na ito na dapat may sapat na bilang o kopya ng nolime tangere at el filibusterismo sa silid-aklatan ng bawat paaralan at universidad. Maliban sa dalawang nobelang ito, dapat may sapat din na bilang ng kopya ng iba pang akda at mga babasahin na isinulat ni Dr. Jose Rizal. Still under Section 2, the said editions or their translations in English as well as other writings of Rizal shall be included in the list of approved books for required reading in all public or private schools, colleges, and universities. Kung maaalala nyo, nung tayo ay junior high school, meron tayong laging aklat ng Nolime Tangere at El Filibusterismo. Ngayon naman tayong kolehiyo na, nakalagay sa ating core syllabus ang iba pang mga sulatin at akda na ginawa ni Dr. Jose Rizal bilang mga required readings para sa asignaturang ito. You may check the actual transcript of the Rizal Law through the link I provided in our Google Classroom. I would also like to leave you this question to answer via Google Classroom as well. Did your previous schools comply with Republic Act 1425? Please cite specific sample situations. We are now on the last part of our discussion. Aside from the misconceptions I presented and the mandate of the Rizal Law, why do we really need to study Rizal? First is to rededicate the lives of youth to the ideals of freedom, courage, fortitude, and patriotism. Layunin ng asignatura na ito na dalhin ang landas at lakas ng mga kabataang tulad nyo tungo sa mithiin at adhikain ng diwa ng kalayaan, katapangan, at pagkamakabayan. Number 2, to pay tribute to our Dr. Jose Rizal for devoting his life and works in shaping the Filipino character. Isa ring epektibong paraan ng pag-aaral ng asignaturang ito upang magbigay pagkilala sa buhay at mga akda ni Dr. Jose Rizal na tumulong humubog ng identidad nating mga Pilipino. Number 3, to gain an inspiring source of patriotism through the study of Rizal's life, works, and writings. Malaking papel din ang ginagampanan ng pag-aaral ng buhay, akda at mga babasahing isinulat ni Dr. Jose Rizal sa pagpapalabas ng ating nag-aalab na pagmamahal sa bayan at paghulma ng ating likas na pagkamakabayan. Number 4, to recognize the importance of Rizal's ideals and teachings in relation to present conditions and situations in the society. Layunin din ng pag-aaral na ito na kilalanin ang mga turo at adhikain ni Dr. Jose Rizal bilang matibay na sandigan ng lubos ng pangunawa at kamulatan sa iba't ibang kalagayan sa ating lipunang ginagalawan. Last reason why we need to study Rizal is to encourage the application of such ideals in current social and personal problems and issues. Naway magamit ang pag-unawa at kamulatan na dulot nito sa pagkilos tungo sa solusyon sa mga suliraning kinakaharap ng ating lipunan sa kasalukuyan. Kaakibat ng pagkilos ay ang paghahangad ng pagbabago sa buhay at sitwasyon ng buong sambayanan. And that ends our discussion. But before I proceed in giving instructions to our activities, I would like to leave another question for you to answer via Google Classroom. In your experience, how effective is the Rizal Law in instilling patriotism among secondary school students? For the activity related to our discussion, pag-usapan na natin ang inyong OBA number 2. This is an individual activity where I'm going to ask you to create a fishbone diagram containing a timeline of the Rizal Law. Simple lang ang gagawin. You're just going to draw or illustrate a creative timeline about the history of RA 1425, also known as the Rizal Law. So ano nga ba ang isang fishbone diagram? Naglagay na ako dito ng halimbawa ng isang fishbone diagram. Mukha talaga siyang isda, pero wala na siyang laman. Tinik na lang siya. Kung makikita niyo dun sa aking example, sa taas ng bawat tinik ay may maliliit na kahon. Sa mga maliliit na kahon na yun, doon niyo maaaring ilagay yung taon o buwan o petsa na may kinalaman sa kasaysayan ng RA 1425. Sa katawan naman ng tinik, kung makikita nyo, may mga sample text na nakalagay dyan. Yung mga sample text na yun, pwedeng dun nyo ilagay yung mga makakalagang pangyayari na nangyari dun sa petsa na inyong nilagay sa loob ng maliit na kahon. So, how I will be grading this fishbone diagram? Naglagay ako dito ng criteria for scoring. For content, 20 points. Titingnan ko kung yung nilalaman ba ng inyong fishbone diagram ay may kinalaman talaga sa mga mahahalagang pangyayari tungkol sa RA 1425. For the organization, 15 points. Dahil nga timeline itong pinapagawa ko, hindi naman pwede na ang timeline ay hindi sunod-sunod yung petsa na nilalagay natin. So, titingnan ko kung maayos yung pagkakasunod-sunod ng mga makakalagang pangyayaring ilalagay nyo na may kinalaman sa RA 1425. And last criteria is about creativity. Since this is an illustration, hindi naman pwedeng mawala na kailangan ay kaaya-aya siya sa mata at kahit papano ay presentable siya kapag pinasa niyo sa akin. So, ang total possible score na pwede niyo makuha ay 15 points. Meron kayong dalawang option na maaaring pagpilian sa paggawa ng inyong fishbone diagram. For this activity, you have two options in making your fishbone diagram. First option is, you may use an Oslo paper and be creative by using any material of your choice. Pwede kayong gumamit ng markers, crayons, oil pastels, or watercolors. Kayo ang bahala. Then, take a picture or scan a copy of your creative timeline using your mobile camera scanners, and upload it on a JPEG or PNG file format and submit it or hand it in as an assignment via Google Classroom. Second option is, you can make a digital creative timeline using any layouting platform or application such as Paint, MS Publisher, Adobe Photoshop, Canva, etc. Kayo na rin ang bahalang mamili kung anong online platform ang gagamitin nyo. Then, upload a JPEG or a PNG file copy of it and submit it or hand it in as an assignment via Google Classroom. And that ends our discussion for Lesson 1. Should you have any questions, you may contact me directly through our official communication channels via Google Classroom, via email, via Google Hangouts, and via Facebook Messenger. Thank you for listening.